Wars. They have always dragged peoples to ruin. But there is an element that unites the extinctions of civilizations. The time factor. For all of us it seems impossible that today's peoples could disappear, yet it has happened hundreds of times throughout history. Let's take the ancient Egyptians for example. Ancients, the three pyramids were like mountains, huge buildings, which could be seen and glistened from afar. Today most of their mysteries are solved. Between the 3 and IV dynasty the Old Kingdom reached its peak. In the absence of wars, everyone worked to satisfy the wishes of the pharaoh's court. In fact, the 3 great pyramids of Giza, Cheops, Chephren and Myserino, date back to this period. The Great Pyramid of Giza was built around 2600 before Christ. When Cleopatra, last queen of a free Egypt, died, the pyramid was already over 2.5 millennia old. It would remain the tallest building in the world for around 3,800 years, being dethroned by the Lincoln Cathedral in 1311, though it dwarfs the cathedral and most modern buildings in other respects. For thousands of years people looked up at the pyramid and wondered how it was built. Nothing like it was built before, or has been built since. Well, but who built the pyramids and why? With the deciphering of the hieroglyphs, and with the advancement of archaeology as a field of study, we now have a pretty good idea of how it was done. The pyramids were grand public monuments of a wealthy civilization with an abundance of excess labor. They cut stone blocks and floated them down the river. They ranged hundreds and thousands of workers and had them move the blocks around. They built them in a pyramid because it was the simplest form the structure could take. There is nothing about the pyramids that is challenging on a technical level, except for organizing this many people towards a single purpose. These were built in honor of a living god, but they were built with simple tools and simple methods. There is no mystery about them. We know how they were built, who by, who commanded the building, and why they did it. We have found detailed records on 4,500-year-old rolls of papyrus recording exactly how much beer and bread were furnished daily to the laborers, where they were housed, how many days each season they worked, and many other fascinating details of those immense ancient construction projects. We know so much about them because the ancient Egyptians were among the first inventors of both bureaucracy and written language. And they kept meticulous records on a medium that is very durable and long-lasting. Fortuitously, the bone-dry climate of Egypt has allowed numerous papyrus rolls and paintings on stone walls to survive for over 4,500 years in a still readable condition. And even more fortuitously, the discovery of the Rosetta Stone 200 years ago allowed us to decipher the language they were written in. We know that the laborers who built these great tombs were not slaves, but rather were peasants who voluntarily worked for the pharaoh in exchange for room and board in the off-season when they could not farm. We know that the immense stone blocks were cut from nearby quarries using wooden wedges that were pounded dry into cracks in the rock, and then soaked with water so that they expanded and opened the cracks further. Once cut out of the cliffs, these blocks were then dressed using chisels of bronze and floated down the Nile on immense barges specially built for the purpose. They were raised into place by being dragged up long earthen ramps by hundreds of workers hauling on ropes, with men walking in front and pouring oil under the leading edge of each block so that it would slide easily. We know this because paintings and carvings have survived that depict this activity, and writings on papyrus have survived that record the progress of the work. We know that the pyramids were built as tombs, and we know exactly who was buried in each one. We know that they were originally covered by an outer layer of white limestone blocks, which were later stolen for use in constructing other buildings so that only the rough sandstone interior blocks remain. We have recently discovered, using instruments that measure the flux of radiation coming down from the sky, that at least one of the pyramids contains an interior chamber formerly unknown to us, sealed deep inside with no way in. The sole remaining secret of the pyramids constitutes the contents, if any, of this blind chamber, and the possible existence of other yet undiscovered voids in the interior of the structure. completed c. 2560 BC. The Great Pyramid stands at 147 meters tall and took over 20 years to build. The thought was that the builders were actually building something for eternity, and it was not only something in which they took enormous pride, but it also was a part of who they were. It was a major part of their religion. We don't have that point of view, and we would not have the determination and strength to make it happen. You can't expect workers to keep the pace up, year after year, if they don't truly believe in what they are doing. The pyramid is estimated to have around 2,300,000 stone blocks that weigh from 2 to 50 tons each. The interior temperature is constant and equals the average temperature of the Earth, 20 degrees Celsius or 68 degrees Fahrenheit. The outer mantle was composed of 144,000 casing stones, all of them highly polished and flat to an accuracy of 1/100th of an inch. With the mantle in place, the Great Pyramid could be seen from the mountains in Israel. The pyramids were so shiny till the 14th century that they could be seen from the moon as well. But an earthquake in 14th century destroyed the shining stones from the pyramids and only limestones are left, until the Lincoln Cathedral was built in England in 1311. The Great Pyramid of Giza held the title for the world's tallest man-made structure. It held the record for an incredible and unparalleled 3,871 years. The sides of the base of the pyramid forms an almost perfect square. Every angle in the base is exactly 90 degrees. The cornerstone foundations of the pyramid have ball and socket construction capable of dealing with heat expansion and earthquakes. The Giza pyramids are guarded by the Great Sphinx, the largest monolith statue in the world. The face of the Sphinx is generally believed to represent the face of the pharaoh Khafra. All Egyptian pyramids were built on the west bank of the River Nile, which is the site of the setting sun and was associated with the realm of the dead in Egyptian mythology. The three Giza pyramids are precisely aligned with the constellation of Orion, which could have been the intention of the builders because the stars of Orion were associated with Osiris, the god of rebirth and afterlife, by the ancient Egyptians. The weight of the pyramid is estimated at 5,955,000 tons. Multiplied by 10 circumflex 8 gives an estimate of the Earth's mass. One of the most mysterious parts of the Great Pyramid is the empty coffer in the King's Chamber. It is made from a solid block of chocolate-colored granite and is even harder than the granite walls of the King's Chamber. For thousands of years, researchers have wondered about its purpose. Ancient legend says that it came from Atlantis or even from America. It was never inscribed or decorated. Also, since it is too large to pass through the low passages leading into the King's Chamber, it is considered to be placed in the chamber before the chamber was closed and passages were sealed. Although many people associate pyramids with hieroglyphics, there have been no writing or hieroglyphics found inside the Great Pyramid of Giza. The Pyramid of Cheops was built to face true north. In fact, it's the most accurately aligned to the north of any structure in the world. Despite being made millennia ago, the pyramid still faces that direction with just a minimal error. However, this is because the North Pole shifts over time, which means at one time, the pyramid was spot on. There exists a total of 3 swivel doors in the Pyramid of Giza. One of the enormous doors is a 20-ton swivel door in the Great Pyramid and is so well balanced that it can be opened from the inside with just one hand. When it is closed, the fit is so perfect that it blends in with the wall, making an impression that it is not even there. Today the ancient Egyptian dynasties have been gone for 2,000 years, yet the pyramids are still there, testifying that civilizations, even after millennia, can disappear.
Subscribe, share, and see you next video.